Hi, my name is Matt Linton, and I'm privileged to serve as the head of the theater department here at Kettle Moraine Lutheran High School and as the director for our upcoming production of Fiddler on the Roof. Fiddler on the Roof is a beloved classic that tells the story of a Jewish family living in the fictional village of Anatevka in 1904. It is a story about tradition, family, faith, hardship, persecution, and love. About what it means to hold on to who you are while the world around you is changing. The show takes its title from its very first image, a fiddler playing his violin on a rooftop. Tevye, our main character, describes this fragile balancing act as a symbol of his people's daily lives, trying to live, love, and survive while maintaining their traditions in an uncertain world. Throughout the show, the fiddler becomes a powerful visual reminder of the culture and customs that shape this community. Keep that in mind as you watch, especially as the story draws to a close. Because this story is so rich in history and meaning, I asked several of our cast members to share a little about the world they are bringing to life and why this show has become so meaningful to them. We would love for you to join us for one of our performances on February 20th, 21st, or 22nd. Ticket information can be found at kmlhs.org/theater. And now it is my privilege to introduce you to some of the cast members of our production of Fiddler on the Roof.
Hi, my name is Julia Stray, and I play Yenta the matchmaker in Fiddler on the Roof. Yenta is a widow who is the matchmaker of the town. She sets up young people with their spouses, finding a beneficial match for them and their families. A matchmaker was needed since Jewish boys and girls didn't really interact much. For example, at the wedding scene, we see the men and women separated to two different sides. Yenta represents tradition through the show, a big part of the main conflict, as we see Tevye's daughters wanting to marry for love, instead of having a matchmaker like Yenta arrange matches with their parents' approval. Yenta pushes back on change through the show, not just for her job, but also because she believes that these traditions are important to the town, because it's what holds the town together.
Hello, my name is Jenny Erickson, and I'm playing Hadel in Fiddler on the Roof. Hadel is the second eldest daughter of Tevye's family, and Hadel is a great example of how the bearers of tradition are pushed throughout the show. Hadel and her sisters and her mother start the show preparing for the Sabbath, a traditional Jewish custom. However, when Hadel meets Perchik, her views on tradition begin to change. Perchik shows her that change and breaking tradition isn't necessarily a bad thing. He shows her the love and joy of dance and how that can bring joy to her family and friends as well. The biggest moment of change or breaking tradition is when Hadel gets engaged to Perchik. Perchik and Hadel get engaged without the approval of Tevye, telling him they are engaged instead of asking for his permission. This forces Hadel to choose between the man she loves and her father, who also loves her dearly. Hadel does not choose to get married to Perchik to spite her father or to rebel. She truly loves Perchik, and by the end of the show, she believes that his work is the greatest work a man can do. The value she puts in Perchik's work leads her to break away from traditions and understand that breaking traditions is not bad and change is good.
Hello, I am Joshua Payne, and I play Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof. As the papa, Tevye had to keep tradition in the family and was the head of the household in many different ways. The most prominent two were he had to be the spiritual guide for the family. He kept very close ties with God as he prays daily, and throughout the show, Tevye talks with God in everyday scenarios, having a regular conversation with him many times throughout the show. One of the traditions that they must follow is the Sabbath, or Shabbat. The Sabbath is a weekly day of rest, starting at sunset on Friday and ending at sundown on Saturday. In the show, you see the praying and traditional candle lighting. These are traditional things that must be done as part of the tradition. Tevye also has to arrange the marriages for his daughters, which you will see plays a major part in the show. Marriages were not romantic. They were practical. They were meant to keep faith, security, and a continuation of tradition. Love was something that they expected to grow throughout the long years of marriage. Throughout the show, you see how Tevye has to fight over whether to continue tradition or be okay with fragmenting away from the tradition.
Hello, my name is Katya Bladel, and I play Golda in our musical Fiddler on the Roof. Golda is the wife and mother in the central family of the story. To give some background, in the 1900s, mothers played an essential role as the heart of the home in Jewish communities. They raised and taught children, preparing them for the real world, but they also preserved family and cultural traditions, like maintaining a strong faith. Some themes in Fiddler on the Roof that Golda displays is a strong, loving, and protective role model of her family. She holds the family together, but also has to adapt to the changing times and values. Golda strives to keep the family close, especially when things get difficult. Some things to look for in this character: moments of quiet strength and love through her actions instead of her words. Golda displays some humor because despite the strict traditions, she does show sarcasm and brings laughter to daily life. Finally, tensions between generations are a struggle for Golda because she fights the battle of keeping her daughters safe at home or letting them embrace their independence and go out into the real world. This story shows how mothers are the invisible backbone of the Jewish community. Mothers are resilient, stubborn, but also tender, and have the qualities that make them important but also memorable.
Personally, I love this show for its overarching theme of change. Fiddler on the Roof teaches us not to fear change, but embrace it, trusting in God to take care of us and guide us through our life, wherever it takes us through Anatevka or KML. While change can be scary, it can bring new opportunities and experiences to our lives. I hope you enjoy watching the show as much as I've enjoyed being a part of it.
I can relate to Hadel because, like me, she is the middle daughter of her family. She is sassy and a little playful, and you can look for some snarky comments throughout the show. Fiddler is a show with a lot of traditions. Hadel helps prepare for the Sabbath meal, and also, at first intends to follow along with the tradition of a matchmaker arranging her match. Like Hadel, my family has a lot of traditions, specifically around Christmas time. But Hadel has shown me that change and breaking away from traditions can be good and bring new possibilities.
One way I connect to Fiddler on the Roof is the way that Tevye speaks to God. Sometimes it can be a little annoying to me how he speaks to God and the phrasing that he uses. It sounds almost disrespectful. But something that I've learned to do is go to God with everything in my life, whether it's good or bad, whether it's stress or anxiety, just everything. I learned to, when I'm driving home, I'll just talk to God. And it's just something that takes away from the stress, anxiety, and lets me just keep moving forward. God says he'll be there for whatever we need, and I don't see any reason why he wouldn't listen to us. And even if we are disrespectful sometimes when we're praying, Jesus is also our mediator and will convey the message that is needed to be heard.
This story is special to me because I look up to my mother and I go to her for all kinds of advice. Similarly, Golda's daughters look up to her, and her love for them is evident as she tries to find husbands who will care for them and give them the best home and future. I'm really grateful for all of the memories and friendships that have come along the way and can't wait for this show to be revealed. With love from the cast and crew of Fiddler on the Roof,
we hope you enjoyed the show.